What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Highlander here, coming right at you with some Pokemon Switch news and information. Guys, we're going to be talking about some leaks and rumors and stuff like that today. Kind of a gray area in video games, if you ask me, but a gray area that I love to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and talk about basically some, I guess, information that came out I guess today, not necessarily today, but there were some announcements made by some people today that I kind of wanted to look into, and in doing so, we're going to kind of go back in time and look at a couple of older leaks, because they could have something to do, of course, with the game in general. But we're going to go ahead and just jump straight into this. So, up first, a little bit earlier today, a man by the name of PixelPar uploaded on Twitter saying, "It's a bit late, but I'm happy to finally confirm that Pokemon Switch was/is undergoing localization. The previous job listings I mentioned were almost certainly for it. I can't provide evidence without throwing people under the bus, so you'll just have to trust me on this one." So basically what he is saying is that the localization team for the game has started the localization on the game, and they are finally making some headway in that area. So most of the stuff we're going to be talking about today definitely has to do something with this localization rumor that's been floating around. And basically what it was there was a job listing that was posted that was basically from the Pokemon company asking for a Spanish translator for the games, or for I'll just read it right here so I can get it right. It says, yesterday evening, this was posted in February, so this is all the way back in February of this year. It said, yesterday evening, Pokemon fans discovered a listing for a Spanish localization job based out of London, UK. The Pokemon company is seeking a short-term editor to work on all editorial facets of video games and related materials, video game strategy guides, video game websites, etc. in Spanish. The job listing is only for about a 6-month term, which indicates that it is for a specific project and is scheduled to start between April and June of 2018. So there was this job listing, and everyone was like, yo, this might have something to do with Pokemon Switch, and maybe this proves that this is going to be coming out later this year, and all this other stuff basically floating around. But a couple of things, of course, you do have to keep in mind with leaks and rumors, and kind of just gaining, I guess, ideas and knowledge of some posts that are sort of related to the subject at hand, is you gotta take things with a grain of salt, of course, as always. Because, as you may see further down in the article, it does say, however, a new job listing isn't necessarily an indication that the Pokemon Switch title is coming this year. As noted by Joe Merrick, the site runner of popular news site Cerebi, of course, he's the guy that has been running this Cerebi.net for like ever. The Pokemon company posts job listings like this fairly often, and this isn't necessarily a sign that a game is coming soon. So it doesn't mean that this is, of course, a localization for Pokemon Switch. It could be, but it doesn't mean necessarily that it is. Now, of course, I'm a very skeptical person when it comes to leak, to be perfectly honest. I love to really see and make sure that we have most of the information that is kind of necessary before I really start jumping on the bandwagon and start believing leaks. But on the flip side, of course, I really do love to talk about rumors and leaks like this, because it sparks conversation in the community, and it really does get people's minds going and being like, hey, you know, what could they possibly be doing? And I love thinking about that kind of stuff. I think it's super exciting. So going back, of course, to the original tweet by PixelPar, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see here on the screen already, somebody asked if this will make it more or less likely for a 2018 release of Pokemon Switch, and then asking, of course, how long localization takes. And PixelPar goes on to respond that saying, I've already had multiple confirmations that it's a late 2018 release. This was mainly about finally proving that localization was/has happening. So basically he is claiming that, or he or she is claiming, I don't actually know, but is claiming that they know for a fact that Pokemon Switch is going to be coming out 2018, and that they have confirmation that it is happening. Now, I might, of course, have to do a little bit more research into this afterwards. I did want to get this video out because I just came back from PAX, and there was a lot of stuff that was basically released during that time, and I wanted to kind of jump into it as fast as possible. I have not really seen anything or heard really anything about a confirmed release date, and PixelPar mentions, I think in another tweet, saying, or in the same one, he's like, I can't provide evidence without throwing people under the bus. So we don't have solid evidence from him or her that we do have a confirmation on the release date being this year. This, of course, makes you want to take the information with a little bit, you know, grain of salt, the grainiest of salt, if you may, just because it's pretty easy to claim things when you're not providing evidence. Of course, when you are a leaker, you do have to be careful with when you leak stuff and how you leak stuff without getting in trouble. So whether this is true or not, only time will tell. I think there was something interesting that someone posted, I don't remember who did, but it was a French website. I think it was actually by Pixelpar, kind of citing this as a source for one of his claims that the games were going to come out in 2018. And in this French website, of course, I have it English translated, so it's not perfect in the grammatical sense. But if you scroll down a little bit, it says, "We were confirmed that there will be a game on the Nintendo Switch that will be released at the end of the year, just before Christmas, and with a new range of soft toys and figurines." And this article basically talks about the toys and plushies that were announced, or that were being shown off, like the Lola toys and plushies that were being shown off earlier in the year. And there was, I think, some basically no proof, or that it was very unlikely that Pokemon Switch is going to come out this year just because of these toys lining up in a certain launch month. But they go on to say that there will be a game coming out but just before Christmas with some more toys and figurines, and that in a conference in May, Bandai will present this new range of products, like a bunch of toys for the new games, that is currently confidential and will be linked to the future game on the Switch. So all of this information, of course, is very interesting. I think it's very, very early to make these kinds of predictions, honestly. We still have not seen anything from this game. Basically, the game was announced at E3 last year by the director of Gamefreak, and while he was just like, "Hey, we're making this game. Just know that we're making this game." And that's basically all he said. We haven't gotten any names, we haven't gotten any titles, we haven't gotten any screenshots, any trailers, or any announcement really about what the games are or what they're going to be about. We just know that they exist and that they are happening. So as I've said before, of course, take all this information with a grain of salt until we truly know, which I think will be happening at E3 this year. We'll get a complete announcement of the game. It'll, of course, give us a release announcement. I personally think that we're not going to be seeing these games until spring of next year, but that's just what I think. It's not really, I guess, based on anything. I just think if we were going to get them this year, we would have seen something about them already earlier in the year. Kind of like we did for both Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon. We had Pokemon Directs in February of each of the corresponding years for those games. But like I said, that's just what I think. You guys are more than welcome to let me know what you guys' opinions are down in the comment section below. Now, what I wanted to talk about was basically this rumored picture or leaked picture. You guys have already seen this probably in many other people's videos on Twitter floating around. IGN even did, like, I think today, did a little post on it, even though this is over a month old almost at this point. But PokeJungle basically had posted that there was an image that was leaked, and by some, I think, Chinese dudes that had an internal working demo of the game, and they took a picture of it and they got to leak it, and we get to see the picture later. I probably should have pulled it up, but you guys have probably seen the picture at this point. It's basically a trainer riding on Lapras in some water. If not, I'll provide a link to the picture in the description down below, and you can go ahead and look at it. But basically, if you click on this, it's the rumor, of course, that the Chinese images teases new features, and basically, this could be, you know, what we might see in a Pokemon Switch game either coming out this year or next year, and it's all based off of this leaked image that was released by these Chinese leakers. So basically, in this picture, I think it'd be pretty interesting to talk about, you know, what possible things might come back, what new things might be introduced into this game. But in this little article that PokeJungle released, it says that Pokeride, there are three things that they say. They say that Pokeride seems to be coming back, or at least the concept of riding Pokemon instead of having HMs. So that is kind of affirmed by the leaked picture of the trainer riding the Lapras over the water. I think there was even an Eevee on its head, someone said about the picture. And to me, that seems to just make a lot of sense. I think HMs are old, they're not necessary anymore. They just take up move slots. I did like some of the moves, like Surf and Waterfall. I think those are fantastic moves. I know I shouldn't get rid of them, but I just don't think HMs should be a staple thing of the Pokemon franchise any longer. And it wouldn't make sense to me to go back to them after in 7th gen not having them at all. I think that was a great addition to the game or whatever. was the removal of HMs. But it says, similarly to X and Y, the trainer is riding a Lapras to navigate a water-based route. The bulky gear on Lapras worn Generation 7 is gone, and the trainer doesn't appear to have a Poké Ride gear. So, you know, it basically just shows a trainer sitting on the Lapras riding across. And so, like I said, just barely, I think this is a great addition to Gen 7. I would surprise me if they removed it and brought back HMs for Gen 8 or whatever the new games are going to be if they decide to do a reboot. But that is one of the things that they were talking about. Next, I'm going to go to the bottom one, which is down here actually, and talk about that first. It says that battles start by running into a Pokemon. Or at least it seems like it. Unlike previous installments in which players would randomly trigger battles while walking through grass or surfing across the water visibly and clearly shows Pokemon models on the route swimming underneath and around you. Whether they aggressively try to chase you down or not remains to be seen. So basically what it is saying is that random encounters are gone. They are getting rid of them and instead are going to add in a system kind of like a lot of modern JRPGs where you run into the enemy, kind of like in Final Fantasy 13, for example, if you guys have played that. You run into the enemy to start the battle, or in Chrono Trigger, as an older example, you run into the enemy to start the battle, and there are no longer any random encounters. I think that's a very interesting choice if that does turn out to be true for the franchise as a whole. I just think it'd be a little bit difficult to be able to find, I guess, the Pokemon that you're looking for, or you just kind of have to wait around or run around to kind of trigger the events to have something run out or pop out that you would want to catch. Of course, this is all, you know, Nintendo, Game Freak working their hardest, and they probably have something, of course, if this is true, that, like, in their head, they're like, okay, this is how it's going to work, and it'll probably work swimmingly, honestly. At first, I'm kind of skeptical about it. It would probably be a great addition to the game if implemented well. Otherwise, it could be a little bit wonky, I guess is the best way to describe it. Basically, it's more difficult to get into battles than it should be, or something along the lines of that. And then last but not least, the thing that makes me kind of laugh a little bit is the middle one, saying the following Pokemon may also be coming back. Now, in case you guys didn't know, if you have not been part of the Pokemon, I guess, series for a long time, whenever a new game was announced, ever since Heart Gold Soul Silver, and even then, I think probably before then, just because ever since Yellow did it, everyone has always wanted you to have Pokemon follow you. I mean, that's just what the fan base wants. There's a reason why in most fan games and ROM hacks, they have that feature, is because so many people liked it. And me being one of them, I think it's a fantastic feature. Heart Gold Soul Silver is my favorite Pokemon games in the entire franchise, and I think that addition to the game is just a very simple but very, very smart one. But ever since then, every single game that's been released, there's always been the rumor saying, oh, Pokemon are going to be following you again. You know, that's always been the rumor for every game that's come out, and once again, it shows up here for the Nintendo Switch game. And that would make me be like, hey, you know, I would love to have it back. I'm not gonna lie, that would be something fantastic. I think it'd be great to have. However, you know, with a lot of rumors that come out like that and talk about following Pokemon, it makes me believe them a little less, just because of track records. Of course, we're not talking about the believability of this list here. We're talking about, of course, the possibility of what could be in the game if these, like, copyright or this localization rumor and, like, release date stuff is true. But basically, I'd love to have it back. I think it'd be a fantastic addition to the game, especially if it is going to be open world, like a lot of people are predicting, because Game Freak went back a while. They said that they were taking a lot of inspiration from Breath of the Wild to make this game. So whatever that means, we'll just be left to see. But either way, that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to let you guys know about this little localization rumor that's been going around, and the confirmation, quote unquote, that we do have for Pokemon Switch being on 2018. What are you guys' thoughts on the release date for Pokemon Switch? I know everyone is just grasping for straws of information at this point because we haven't gotten any. I personally still think that we're not going to see this game until spring of 2019. I think Metroid and Super Smash Bros. Are kind of going to be Nintendo's main focus points for the holiday season of this year. I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong. And if I am, I'm totally down for that. The sooner we get our hands on these games, the better, in my opinion. Of course, as long as they have enough time to do what they want to do with it. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are down in the comment section below. All the links to all the sources that I used are going to be included as well, so you can go and check them out for yourself. But I've been Highlander, and that is going to wrap up everything for this video. And I will go ahead and catch you guys in the next one. Peace.